A retiree with a $700,000 IRA who delayed Social Security to age 70 thought she was saving thousands in taxes. But when one of my viewers ran the numbers in tax software, she discovered a hidden math error that cost her $4,700 in unnecessary taxes every single year. That's not a rounding error. Over a 20-year retirement, that's $94,000 gone. Not to a bad investment, not to inflation, but to a strategy she followed correctly. She did everything the advice said to do. Delay Social Security. Use that gap to convert to Roth. Keep the money growing. She followed the playbook. The problem was the playbook had a missing variable, and that missing variable changes the math by almost half. I've watched this happen more than once. A retiree does the right things, reads the articles, watches the videos, maybe even talks to an advisor, and still ends up overpaying because the example they were shown used numbers that don't match their actual situation. The standard advice goes like this: delay Social Security to age 70, and while you're waiting, convert as much of your traditional IRA to Roth as possible. The room to convert, so the logic goes, comes from replacing Social Security income with Roth conversions. Sounds reasonable. And for a small group of retirees with $2 million or more in an IRA, it can work. But for the 85% of retirees with under $800,000 in their IRA, the math looks completely different. The number you've been told is your conversion room is about to shrink by almost half. Stay with me. Let's say a retiree needs $90,000 a year to live on. She's collecting $26,400 a year in Social Security. So she pulls $63,600 from her IRA to make up the difference. Her total income is $90,000. That part is straightforward. Now here's what the popular advice actually says. If she delays Social Security to age 70 and collects nothing in the meantime, she has room to convert that $26,400 to Roth. The idea is that delaying Social Security creates an empty slot in her income, and you fill that slot with Roth conversions instead. Sounds clean on paper. Except there's a problem. She still needs $90,000 to live on. If she's not collecting Social Security, she has to pull the full $90,000 from her IRA just for spending. There's nothing left over for a Roth conversion. If she wants to convert $26,400 on top of that, her total IRA withdrawal jumps to $116,400, which pushes her into a higher tax bracket and can trigger IRMA surcharges on her Medicare premiums. She doesn't save money. She spends more. The advice only works if she voluntarily reduces her spending during those delay years. Most retirees won't do that. They have a mortgage, insurance, utilities, medical bills, real expenses that don't go down just because Social Security is paused. So what is the actual conversion room? Let me walk you through the real numbers. Once she starts collecting Social Security at age 70, $26,400 a year, she only needs $63,600 from her IRA. At her income level, 85% of Social Security benefits are taxable. That's $22,440. So her taxable income before the standard deduction is $63,600 plus $22,440, which equals $86,040. For a single filer in 2026, the standard deduction is $16,100. After that deduction, her taxable income is about $69,940. The 12% bracket ends at $50,400 of taxable income. She's already over that line. The gap between her taxable income and the 12% ceiling is negative. She's in the 22% bracket before converting a single dollar. Her real Roth conversion room at the 12% rate? $0. If she wants to convert at 22%, which she may still choose to do for other reasons, The 22% bracket runs up to $105,700 in taxable income, which gives her a ceiling of about $35,760 before she hits the next bracket. But she's not saving on taxes by converting at 22% if her future RMDs will also be taxed at 22%. That's the trap. There's no tax rate arbitrage. Why does the advice get this so wrong? Partly because the examples used in most retirement content are built around $2 million to $3 million portfolios. In those cases, the retiree has a large taxable brokerage account to fund spending during the delay years, so they genuinely can limit IRA withdrawals and create real conversion room. For someone with $700,000, mostly in an IRA and no brokerage cushion, the math is completely different. If you're a retiree with a $500,000 to $800,000 IRA who's been told to delay Social Security and convert, you're not alone. You're not wrong for following the advice. They left out a variable, and that variable is your spending. But here's where it gets interesting. Because there is a real strategy that works for the 85% of retirees with under $800,000. It just looks nothing like what you've been told. So if the delay Social Security, convert big strategy doesn't work for most retirees, what does? There's a three-step approach that fits the actual situation of someone with a $500,000 to $800,000 IRA, and it's built around timing, not size. I used to think the goal was to convert as much as possible, as fast as possible. I even suggested to clients that taking a larger tax hit early in retirement was worth it to get ahead. Then I ran the real numbers for a couple with $600,000 who followed that advice and ended up paying $8,000 more in taxes over 5 years than if they'd done small, targeted conversions instead. I was wrong. The goal isn't maximum conversion, it's targeted conversion. Here's how to think about it in 3 steps. Step 1 covers ages 62 to 64, before Medicare kicks in. If you've retired early and you're getting health insurance through the ACA marketplace, your premium tax credits depend on keeping your MAJI, your modified adjusted gross income, below roughly $60,000. Converting large amounts from your IRA raises your MAJI and can wipe out those subsidies fast. In this window, if you have money in a taxable brokerage account, live off that instead. Keep your IRA withdrawals low. Convert nothing or very little during these years. Step 2 is ages 65 to 69. This is your best window. You're on Medicare, so the ACA subsidy constraint is gone. You're not collecting Social Security yet. Your income is just what you pull from your IRA. Take Mark and Lisa. They're both 63, married filing jointly, and they plan to retire at 62 with a combined traditional IRA of $720,000. Their annual spending need is $75,000. They'll collect a combined $48,000 a year in Social Security at age 70. No pension, nothing else. During ages 65 to 69, they withdraw $75,000 a year from their IRA for spending. In 2026, the standard deduction for a married couple is $32,200. So their taxable income is $75,000 minus $32,200, which equals $42,800, solidly in the 12% bracket. The 12% bracket for married filing jointly runs up to $100,800 of taxable income. That leaves room to convert an additional $58,000 a year at 12%. Over 5 years, that's $290,000 converted at a modest federal rate. Step 3 starts at age 70 when Social Security begins. At that point, Mark and Lisa's IRA balance has dropped because of both spending and conversions. They need only $27,000 a year from the IRA to supplement their $48,000 in Social Security. About 85% of Social Security is taxable, which adds $40,800. Their total taxable income before the standard deduction is $67,800. After the $32,200 deduction, they're at $35,600 in taxable income. 12% bracket, comfortable. I don't know what Congress is going to do with tax brackets in 2027. Nobody does. But the math for the next couple of years is clear. 12% is available now for most retirees in this income range, and that rate almost certainly won't be lower later if RMDs are left to compound unchecked. But before you start converting anything, there's one scenario that changes everything, and it's the one nobody talks about. Even when the math is clear, a lot of retirees still hesitate, and the reason is completely understandable. Paying tax today to save tax in 15 or 20 years feels like a bad deal. The benefit is far away. The cost is right now. That gap makes the brain want to skip it. Look, I get it. You've watched parents or grandparents deal with health problems in their 80s. You've looked at the actuarial tables and thought, I'm in decent shape, but making it to 90 seems like a stretch. That's not laziness, that's honestness, self-assessment. You're not wrong that many people don't make it to 90. But here's the piece of the math that changes the calculation. Instead of projecting all the way to age 100, run the numbers for just one question. At what age does the conversion break even? For most retirees, converting $15,000 a year at the 12% rate, the break-even point, where the tax saved from lower RMDs and reduced Social Security taxation outweighs the tax paid on conversion, typically falls between age 84 and 86, assuming around 6% average growth. If you're 65 today, that's 19 to 21 years from now. And here's where the real number matters. According to the Social Security actuarial tables, a woman who reaches age 65 has an average life expectancy of another 20.7 years. That's age 85.7. A man at 65 is expected to live another 18.3 years on average. But those are averages for the whole population, including people with serious health conditions. If you're healthy at 75, your life expectancy jumps. A man who reaches age 75 in good health is statistically expected to live another 11.7 years, to age 86.7. A woman at 75 can expect another 13.4 years, age 88.4. At that point, the Roth break-even is almost always within your lifetime. You don't need to assume you'll live to 95. You just need a reasonable chance of reaching the break-even age. For most healthy retirees, that's not a stretch. All right, so the math works even if you're skeptical about making it past 85. But now we need to talk about the real reason you might not want to convert at all, and it's not what you think. Here's where most people get stuck. Paying tax today to save tax later sounds smart in theory, but it means real money out of your pocket right now. Let's say you convert $25,000 this year and pay $3,000 in federal taxes on it. That $3,000 doesn't come from thin air. If you withhold it from the conversion itself, your IRA drops by $28,000, not $25,000. If you pay from savings, you have $3,000 less to spend on travel, home repairs, or health care this year. Either way, there's a real cost today in exchange for a benefit that arrives years from now. The opposite path, do nothing, stay in traditional IRA, means keeping that $3,000 today. You can spend it, invest it, or leave it in the account. The downside is what happens later. Back to Mark and Lisa. If they convert $58,000 a year at 12% from ages 65 to 69, they pay roughly $6,960 a year in federal taxes on conversions. About $34,800 total over 5 years. Their IRA balance at age 70 is lower because of both the conversions and the tax payments. But their RMDs are also smaller. Their Social Security is taxed at a lower level. And if one spouse dies, the surviving spouse files as a single filer, with a much smaller IRA to drive up that single filer tax bill. If they do nothing, their IRA continues compounding until RMDs force withdrawals. The tax bill arrives anyway. It's just delayed and potentially larger, especially during the widow years. The decision isn't really convert or not. It's pay now at a known rate or pay later at an unknown rate. The conversion strategy that tends to win is the one that preserves your ability to choose. If you keep your RMDs below the thresholds that trigger IRMA or push you into a higher bracket, you have room to respond to emergencies, medical costs, or large expenses without a tax penalty. Now let me show you the one scenario where all this math flips, and it's the most common objection I hear. Here's the scenario that changes everything for most married couples. Mark dies at age 82. Lisa is still alive and still needs the same income she and Mark had together. But now she files as a single taxpayer. As a couple, they were in the 12% bracket. As a single filer, the brackets are narrower. The same income that felt manageable as a married couple now lands in the 22% bracket. Not because Lisa spent more, but because the tax system gives single filers less room. Let's look at the numbers for the unprepared version, the couple that did nothing. If Mark and Lisa never converted, their IRA is larger at age 82. Lisa's share of the IRA is roughly $400,000. Her required minimum distribution that year, using the IRS Uniform Lifetime Table Factor of 18.7 for age 82, is about $21,400. She also collects Social Security of $26,400. At 85% taxable, that's $22,440 in taxable Social Security. Total taxable income before deductions, $21,400 plus $22,440 equals $43,840. After her single filer standard deduction of $16,100, her taxable income is $27,740, still in the 12% bracket. So in this case, the 12% bracket holds, but barely, and only because their IRA didn't grow larger than projected. If the IRA had grown to $600,000 by that point, the RMD alone would be over $32,000, and combined with Social Security, Lisa would be solidly in the 22% bracket with no way to pull back. Now look at the prepared version. The couple that converted $58,000 a year from ages 65 to 69. Lisa's IRA at age 82 is closer to $350,000. Her RMD is about $18,700. Combined with taxable Social Security of $22,440, her taxable income before deductions is $41,140. After the $16,100 standard deduction, she's at $25,040, comfortably in the 12% bracket with room to spare. The difference isn't dramatic in this base case. But if the market performs well, if the IRA grows faster than expected, if Congress narrows brackets, the prepared version stays in a safer zone and the unprepared version does not. There's still time. Even if you're 72 and haven't converted anything yet, small annual conversions can still shift the balance. You don't need to convert the whole IRA. You just need to convert enough to keep your survivor in a lower bracket. Okay, so the widow's tax is real. But now I need to answer the question everyone asks, and nobody answers clearly. Where do you get the cash to pay the conversion tax? Knowing that a Roth conversion strategy works in theory is one thing. Knowing how to actually execute it, without triggering a tax bill you didn't plan for, is another. Here are 3 concrete steps. Step 1, calculate your conversion ceiling. Before you convert $1, you need to know how much income you can have in a given year before crossing into the next bracket or triggering IRMA surcharges on Medicare. The rule is simple. Your IRA withdrawal plus your Social Security plus your Roth conversion should stay below whichever ceiling matters most for your situation. For 2026, here's what that looks like. If you're a single filer and your only income is an IRA withdrawal of $50,000, your taxable income after the $16,100 standard deduction is $33,900. Inside the 12% bracket, which runs up to $50,400 of taxable income. That gives you $16,500 of conversion room at 12% before you cross into 22%. If you're married filing jointly and pulling $75,000 from your IRA, your taxable income after the $32,200 deduction is $42,800. The 12% bracket for couples runs to $100,800 of taxable income. That gives you $58,000 of conversion room, enough to make a real dent over 5 years. Step 2. Use a taxable account for spending if you have one. If you have money in a regular brokerage account, not an IRA, not a Roth, and you've held those investments for more than a year, selling them may trigger little or no tax. For 2026, the 0% long-term capital gains rate applies to single filers with taxable income up to $49,450. That means if you fund a portion of your living expenses from long-term brokerage gains, you keep your IRA withdrawal low, which keeps your taxable income low, which creates more room to convert at 12%. This is the move that changes the math for a lot of retirees. Instead of pulling $75,000 from your IRA, you pull $45,000 from the IRA and $30,000 from your taxable account at 0% capital gains. Now your taxable income is much lower and your conversion room opens up considerably. Step 3. Use the partial withholding method when you have no outside cash. This is the question I hear constantly. I want to convert, but I don't have extra cash sitting around to pay the tax bill. Here's how it works. When you do a Roth conversion, your IRA custodian can withhold a percentage for taxes, say 12%, directly from the conversion amount. If you want $20,000 to actually land in your Roth account, you tell the custodian to convert roughly $22,725. They send 12% of that, about $2,725, to the IRS. The remaining $20,000 goes into the Roth. I had a viewer last month who wanted to convert $40,000 but had no outside cash to pay the tax. She converted $45,500 using the partial withholding method. After 12% withholding, $40,000 landed in her Roth. Her IRA balance dropped by $45,500. The IRS got $5,500 and she paid nothing extra out of pocket. 5 years from now, that $40,000 in her Roth account is available tax-free. She's already seeing the benefit. Let's bring this together. The standard advice: delay Social Security, then fill that gap with Roth conversions, is built on a spending assumption that doesn't apply to most retirees with under $800,000 in their IRA. If you don't reduce your IRA withdrawals by the exact amount you're giving up in Social Security benefits, the conversion room disappears. For someone spending $90,000 a year, the real room at the 12% rate can be zero, not tens of thousands. The strategy that actually works is smaller, more deliberate, and timed to your bracket. Convert during the window after Medicare and before Social Security begins. Use taxable account spending to keep IRA withdrawals low. And if you have no outside cash, the partial withholding method means you can still convert without writing a check to the IRS. The behavioral piece matters too. The break-even age for most conversions is 84 to 86. If you're 65 and in reasonable health, that's not a long shot. The SSA's own actuarial tables say a healthy 75-year-old woman is expected to live to 88.4. The math works in your favor more often than people assume. If you're a retiree with a $400,000 to $800,000 IRA who wants to keep more of your money out of the IRS's reach, not by guessing, not by following a $3 million example that doesn't apply to you, but by using the actual math for your situation, then subscribe to this channel. I post a new retirement tax strategy every Wednesday. And if this video helped you see the gap between the advice you've been given and the numbers that actually fit your situation, please hit subscribe. There are too many retirees paying thousands in unnecessary taxes because they followed advice built for someone else. You don't have to be one of them. Convert smart, not fast. That's how you win the retirement tax game.